Former suicidal people. Why did you choose to live? Serious. I attempted. Jumped off coastal bluffs to the beach below, which was about a 50-foot drop. It took a while to even make the jump. I thought about a lot of things at life affecting me negatively until I essentially succumbed to my depression. During the fall all I could think was, I really hope I don't die, and how terrifying it was. The impact was softer than I expected. Landing on sand I wasn't able to keep any balance and ended up somersaulting upon impact. Honestly, I didn't intentionally do that roll. I am sure there would have been way more serious harm done. My right knee is still kinda messed up from it. As soon as I landed it hit me. Yeah, I'm super depressed and life sucks, but I still want to experience it. I wanted to fight to change myself and my situations for the better. It's been a roller coaster, but I'm still chugging along. Edit. A huge thank you to everyone who has contributed to my comment by up-down voting, commenting and awarding. I really appreciate the support I've received over this and was initially hesitant over posting this due to anxiety. I mentioned in a comment that it took me 6 years to even tell anybody about this, and I still haven't mentioned it to my family. I am very grateful to this community's response to all the comments on this thread. Shows me that good people are still out there in droves. If I didn't get back to you, I apologize. Attempted to respond to everybody or at minimum upvote, but was at work making solar panels and I believe I missed some people. Again, thank you all for your support. Much love to all you Redditors. Had some thoughts a few years back. And then I remembered my dad telling me if I ever didn't feel right, to call my uncle. I was 16 when he said that. He was 60-ish at the time, and it stuck. Fast FWD 15 to 17 years and I had a situation where I needed to call my uncle. Dad was still alive, but couldn't communicate due to advanced Parkinson's. He had recently been diagnosed when I was 16. The man literally saved my life 15 years in the future. Lost him in February of 2020. Thanks, Dad. EDIT, holy cow. I am shocked at all this. I'll try to keep it concise here. I was told by my dad in '99 that my uncle had issues with his head. Anxiety, depression, ECT. Very loose on the details. He'd been recently diagnosed with Parkinson's and was doing a lot of reading about it. He never said anything to me about the fact that he knew his mind was going to slip away and he'd lose his ability to reason and even speak. Without knowing for sure, but knowing him, I think he tried to prioritize the most important things he thought I would need to know as an adult and direct me as best he could. Keep in mind I was 16 at the time. He knew depression was in the family medical history, and that his younger brother was diagnosed clinically, but handling it well. Fast forward 15 years, and I wasn't able to talk to my dad. His mind was just about done. He could answer a basic question with a word or two, but usually a thumbs up, down. Life was moving really fast for me. Baby, house, surprise, second baby, new career, fast. I wasn't coping well. I ended up on the interstate at double the speed limit looking for a flat concrete wall to park. My wife was blowing my phone up. I slowed down and found a parking lot. My wife talked me off the ledge and I came home. Shaking but safe. I asked my cousin if it would be alright for me to contact my uncle on the subject. The conversation wasn't any miraculous revelation. It was real-life advice from an old man. I had a 2-year-old and a newborn and a brand new career. It was a lot. He basically told me that none of those things are going away. None of the pressures of life are actually going to crush me. They're here to stay, and facing them one day at a time as a team with my wife was the best way to go. He asked me to imagine what day-to-day life would look like for them without me. Not holidays or birthdays, but bedtime and soccer practice, homework and dinner. I never went to see a professional, but I looked a few up just in case. Honestly, didn't want my mom to be sad. She's everything to me. One day I even told her that. She basically told me to go kill myself if I was really depressed. I would have done it. Good thing I had friends who taught me to live for myself about 3 months before that. There was no good clean way to do it. I hated myself, so I did not want to inconvenience anyone. I figured it would inconvenience less people if I just kept living and be as good of an addition to society as I could possibly be. So I put my energy into bettering others live in sacrifice of my own. So I go above and beyond to help people in need. I'm not afraid to tell my boss what I think, so that the lowest employee can get a bit of a boost. Even if that reduces my standing or hurts my future prospects. Ironically, my attempted self-destruction generated quite a bit of a reputation and goodwill. Even with my boss. I've realized, I don't want to kill myself. I just don't want to be alive. I think that's what I want to. I don't want to think and relive anymore. I either want to stop existing or find some way to erase memories and start over with a blank slate. I took one day at a time. I kept telling myself not today, not tomorrow, maybe the day after. It took years but slowly. I appreciated things again, saw beauty, felt grateful. The beauty got more, the pain got less. A huge step was moving to Scotland. If people tell you that you can't run away from the pain you carry in yourself, that's only part of the truth. For me, being away from things that dragged me down helped. But what was the most healing aspect was how beautiful this country is. And how easy it was to get in my car early in the morning and find myself a hill or a beach where I could feel small and unimportant and just lose myself in looking and listening and touching. That was over a decade ago. I am now extremely happily married. Have a great bunch of friends. A job that I actually enjoy. The black dog hasn't been back in years. I remember though how horrible it was. How every tiny thing was so hard. How I could not see a reason to go on other than not hurt my family. My heart goes out to everyone who is going through the same. Cowardice. My instinct for self-preservation overruled my ability to make decisions. I called suicide hotline and they put me on hold. It seemed like a bad joke. And I started to laugh. That made me feel better. And I decided I could work it out and live. I have a family whose lives I would ruin forever. And my dogs would never know why I left. I know people whose parents have committed suicide and it was really damaging to them. I have children and the thought of causing them that kind of pain. I could never do that to them. Ever. Yay. My dad killed himself at home when I was 6. My mom had become abusive and toxic because she was all alone without help. And thus, I have had many mental health problems and struggled to adapt to society. I am still trying now though. TLDR, the man who would later become my husband and best friend. After months of being in a really bad place post-sexual assault and without anyone who cared about me, I decided I was going to jump off my 7th floor balcony into the car park. I don't exactly know why, but I made myself a pact that if I could find even one person who'd give a damn about me in the next hour, I'd stay safe for the night. I went to Craigslist, of all places, to see if there was anyone there looking to make a friend via text. Didn't mention anything about my packed suicidality. My now husband texted back almost immediately and we had just the most wonderful conversation. It was as though I'd known him all my life. We continued texting for months. Eventually met up. And the rest is history. 8 years with my best friend and I've never been happier. It frightens me how close I came to missing out on the best experiences, and newfound friends, family, that night. It's kind of a messed up story. But one that I hope instills some hope. Even if you're at your lowest. Even if you truly have absolutely no one around who loves you. That can change in an instant. Every day is full of new possibilities. And you just never know. Stick around for the experiences and people who will someday matter so much to you. I don't like to admit that I have these problems, but whenever I am wanting to just end it all, I think about the people in my life and what their reaction would be if I actually took my own life, and I realize how hurt they would be, so I live so I don't hurt them, because no matter what I do to kill myself, it will hurt them 10 times worse because they really love me. This so much. I've had suicidal thoughts almost every day for 17 years. 7 years ago, someone in my family killed herself. I had imagined the pain my family would go through if I did it. But my imagination wasn't even fucking close. Not even fucking close. The sound of her parents sobbing haunts me to this day. Not just when they found her, but all the days after. It is horrible enough for me. But I still can't even imagine their pain. If I could, I would do anything to have her back. Anything. So many people would. So, whatever pain I have, it's just no longer an option. I couldn't do that to the people around me. I often want to, but I can't. I feel an obligation to stay alive and to be a decent person. And anything else I achieve is a bonus. I've thought that if I really didn't have anyone at all in my life, I would someday, but I discovered the body of a man who had killed himself by drinking antifreeze probably about a month before. I wouldn't say it messed me up, but the image and smell stays in my head. I had never seen flesh like that. And it wasn't like the movies. He had no one. I didn't know him personally. I wish he hadn't done it. Though, I think about him often. I still have suicidal thoughts, but I want to live for some years more because of my dog. My plants, my fishes, my parents, and the things I like. I want to master the violin and digital drawing. That keeps me away from suicide. My family. Dad had gotten diagnosed with cancer and I realized I couldn't do that to them. I recently started seeing a therapist. Well, if I would have killed myself when I wanted to, I would have got the wrong guy. Over a year sober now. I still have suicidal thoughts, but these 2 stray cats randomly came near my home and I started to feed them. I didn't want to stop being their source of food, so here I am. My mother was on her deathbed with stage 3 invasive carcinoma, and so I decided not to be selfish because if I were to follow through, she probably wouldn't have made it and beat it after 6 months of intense daily chemo. Family. If I leave this world like that, I would break their heart and no one will take care of them. I wouldn't say I chose to live. My asshole ex-husband died and everything started getting better. The curse was lifted. It's the damnedest thing, but I no longer have suicidal thoughts. If I'm honest, it was because without access to a gun or exit bag, every other method looked too agonizing to even attempt. Not to mention what could have happened if I failed. I didn't want to be vegetative. I still have all the research I did. Scores of hours of it. Locked in my memory. Not sure how much this counts. I'm always second guessing, like maybe I wasn't really suicidal, just like being stupid or something, I don't know. Anyways, it all seemed to be for selfish reason. A new game, movie, book was coming out and I wanted to experience that. A bit cliche, but a woman. I left home to try and find myself. Joined a trade school in Hawaii and just had a pretty subpar experience there. I haven't heard from my family in months. Didn't make any friends, etc. Was gonna just end it all, but that week we had a batch of new students. For context, I was one of few students that shows the new students the ropes. I was assigned to 3 females. Didn't think much of it since I was gone anyway, so yeah. I met the newbies I was to care for and one of them just instantly caught my eye the moment I laid eyes on her. I started to look forward to the next day. And the next. And the next. We became really good friends and ended up dating. It's been over 5 years now and we're still together. I have yet to tell her that she literally saved my life. So for those contemplating, I'm all ears if you genuinely want to talk. Well, I'm actually still struggling with suicide, but one of my biggest reasons for not outwardly attempting it is how people close to me would feel. I actually recently had a dream where I did end up killing myself, but I was forced to watch as the people closest to me grieved while Satan laughed at my attempts to say sorry. The worst thing about it is I'm pretty young, therefore I haven't had the chance to say, I chose to live. Nonetheless, my reason for not attempting it yet is because of those around me. So, I know this sounds like a bad joke. But it's true. I was about 15, living in a very abusive household. My mother's husband was verbally and physically abusive. And I had to stop buying myself anything because it would be broken, thrown away within a week by him. My mother just stood by and let all this abuse happen, which generally left me feeling like a waste of space. Despite being so young, I felt that my only option was to just die. So I stole her handgun from her room. and went to a local playground to swing on a swing set a bit before I killed myself. As I was swinging, I was naturally having some doubts. So I thought, why not call up the suicide prevention hotline and see what they say? So I pulled out my phone and called them up. I was put on hold, and nobody picked up for 27 minutes. At that point, my phone died. It was so absurdly funny, and in an odd way validated my lack of worth to myself. But at that point it was like a bubble had burst. All the tension and fear and anger I felt just kind of vanished while I laughed myself to tears in that park. I went back home, snuck the gun back to the safe, and have been going since then. I even got a little, 27, tattooed to my wrist. To never forget how absurd the world can be. Failed repeatedly, then found out I was pregnant. It really should have made it worse. But it made me very protective. I was determined to at least live long enough to see my daughter's face. I tried seriously to commit twice. Both in stupid ways that wouldn't have worked. I would be in the middle of a panic attack. Try it, and then snap out of it. The second time I tried, my mom put me in therapy. It was mostly unhelpful. The therapist only really recommended religion. She did give me a couple of tools to change the pathways in my brain. And the medication certainly helped. It became tough to think about the existential stuff that would drive me to suicidal thoughts. Long story short, I'm only here because I'm stupid. So yay for being stupid. Since then I've come out to my family and been well received by everybody except my grandparents. I am engaged to the best woman in the world and happier than ever. I consider myself very lucky, and I'm glad that I was terrible at committing. Lo-fi hip-hop music. I'm serious. Whenever I have suicidal thoughts, I'd always turn on lo-fi music. It's just so calming. Reminds me of all of the good things I'd miss out if I choose to give up. For a long time, I didn't. I was simply forced to be alive. Being in and out of hospitals for years. Force-fed, sectioned. Things did eventually take a turn for the better though, and I do now even have a reason to keep trying. I have the most loving and supportive girlfriend out there. While not all is well, having a reason to stay alive, to try getting better, is a huge deal. If you're ever seeing this, I love you so much. I hope we'll make it. I've gone through significant trauma. Essentially, I've had severe depression since I was 11. Had an FBI case when I was 17, severely abusive relationship that started when I was 12. 5 years and ended with the case. And developed debilitating PTSD last October. A month before I turned 20. I think I figured this out during an acid trip when I was like 16. But I decided that as long as I can make somebody smile even one time, all the pain I endure is worth it. I just want to make people happy. Even if all I can do is tell a joke to make someone laugh. I hardly ever get the kindness I try to show to others back in return. And it really fucking hurts when I'm struggling and suddenly have nobody. But I continue on with my idea that it's worth it. I graduated from college this past semester and had 2 separate and unrelated people tell me that I was the first person to ever show them genuine kindness and empathy. That I helped teach them how to be a better person and helped them get on the right path simply by showing them unwavering, persistent kindness and love. And that just make me feel even more strongly that I'm meant to help people. And I can't do that from the grave. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and hit the notification button. See you next time.